Okay, sometimes you're forced into rolling in a main bearing because the crank is still installed in the block. Most of the time you're doing this, the engine's going to be installed upright, right? You'll be laying under it. But for ease of filming, we're going to do this with the engine upside down here. So right here, this is an upper bearing. So while this is still in chassis, it's pretty hard to get out of there. But you can roll in a bearing where you take a flathead and you kind of pop it down that way, let the tang come up this way, make sure you're removing the tang side, and then using the pressure of your hand and a flathead screwdriver, you just slowly roll that bearing out of there. You want to avoid scratching the bearing up if you're going to be reusing it for some reason. You can rotate the crank around with it if you have the option, which will usually make that bearing come out a little bit easier. And then once you start some rotating, usually then you'll find your oil holes in there. So once you can get in the oil hole, that makes it even easier. Make sure that you don't scratch the crank, right? Make sure that you're wedging that screwdriver in a way to where if you slip off the bearing, which is easy to do, you can try and catch it, or you miss the journal on the crank. You don't want to scratch that, right? That's the big deal. So once you get that all the way out, you can pull it up and out of there. And there we are. This is already a fresh bearing, but in the case of installing a fresh one, you'll brake clean down in there, make sure you get all oil removed. You'll put a little bit of pre-lube on the friction surface of the bearing, make sure the backside is totally clean and dry, and then you'll just reverse your procedure of rolling that back down into place. Make sure that tang's lined up, put a little bit of pressure, and there you go, you're back installed.